Welcome to the Pregnancy Help Podcast. I'm Christine Grimmett here with Beth Diemert, Heartbeat International's Director of Affiliate Services. And joining us to talk about a statewide telehealth program is CEO of the Arkansas Pregnancy Network, Christie Robertson. Christie, it's so good to have you here with us, and we're eager to learn from your experience in starting this telehealth program. Before we jump in, I'd like to mention that Next Level Center Management Solution is here for your software needs. Designed by a team of professional healthcare software developers, Next Level closes the loop from receptionist to client to advocate and nurse, all in real time. Next Level offers services for client intake, appointment reminders, secure messaging, telecare video calls, and more. Visit nextlevelcms.com for more. Beth and Christie, so great to have you both on, and let's get started.
Great. Thank you, Christine. It's good to be back on the Pregnancy Help Podcast, one of my favorite places to be. And Christie, I'm excited for this conversation today. I love the work that you all are doing, and I'm very eager to share it with our listeners. You may recall fairly recently at our national conference in Salt Lake City, our very own Gerald Godsey, the president of Heartbeat International, delivered a very impactful keynote where he talked about moving the movement and how we in the digital space need to be connecting with clients quicker. Our speed to service is what really needs to be focused on. And I know you all in Arkansas have done a great job to move into that space, which we're going to talk through in a minute. But first, I want to know about you. I want our listeners to know about you. Tell me, Christie, your current role and a little bit of your background in pregnancy help.
Okay. Well, currently I'm wearing a couple of hats. So I am the CEO for the Arkansas Pregnancy Network, and I'm also the nurse manager for a local pregnancy center in Arkansas. So I'm a nurse by trade. I graduated nursing school in 1998, and pregnancy and labor and delivery, anything like that, like it was the one thing that I always avoided. But it's the thing that the Lord had led me to. I didn't get saved until I was 45. And so I've been saved now for about 8 years. And I had been just begging the Lord. It's like I just met the author of my story, and I knew in an instant that everything that I had walked through in life was for a reason. And so I had just been on my knees praying and begging him, Lord, just use me and use my story. And so I was at church.
Here we are.
And here we are. Yeah, I was at church on Sanctity of Life Sunday. Didn't know that was even a thing. And there was a lady from the local pregnancy center on the stage, and she started talking about abortion. And I knew, like, my spirit leapt out of my chest. And I was like, okay, Lord, I knew that was it. That was the part of my story. I've had 2 abortions in my past. And so I reached out to this woman, and she put me through healing, and I just wanted to volunteer at the center, right? And I think a lot of us are that way. We just want to volunteer our time. And within 2 weeks, I was the center nurse. And then within 6 months, I was the nurse manager. And then within a year, I was the director of that center, which was the last place I thought I would ever be. It's like, I don't want to lead a ministry. I'm just, I'm 3 years saved, and you want me to lead this ministry. And now he's led me to the Arkansas Pregnancy Network, and still working in a pregnancy center so that I can really have, it's the girls that's where I want to be, just talking with them when they come in contemplating abortion, or they've had an abortion and they're just heartbroken over it, and being able to just meet them where they are. It's like, that's where I want to be.
That's a fantastic story, Christie. Thank you for sharing it with us. And, it's just funny to me in a godly sort of way. We just finished our Pregnancy Help Institute last week here at Heartbeat headquarters. We had 33 brand new directors that I got the opportunity and privilege to spend the week with. And we start the week by having them tell their story. And the commonality between their stories and your story is very much centered around, I never intended, I never saw myself, I said no, and nobody listened to me. But I love it because when God calls you, when He puts that conviction in your heart, you know that you know that you know this is what you're meant to do. And I appreciate your willingness to say yes, and for all the places that it's taken you to bring you to this place now. The work that you do in the center, that important role of the nurse. And then now with the Arkansas Pregnancy Network, that's a huge calling. Tell me a little bit more about the network. Tell me what it does in the state and a little bit about how that works.
Well, it started about 35 years ago, and it wasn't always called the Arkansas Pregnancy Network, but as long as I have been here, I've known it as that. We are just an umbrella organization, if you will, that helps all the pregnancy centers within the state. And we keep them updated on things that are going on legally within our state, like the recent abortion amendment that came. That was my job to keep the centers involved and informed of what's going on. And then I bring them together quarterly, and we do education type things. And it's just a way for all the women in the state to be able to come together and not only learn from what we have, but learn from each other. They come with their questions, and as directors, like, we need to come together and be unified. So that's basically what we do. And then in 2022, when Roe was overturned, we knew that we needed to do something more, something different. And it was just a time of, we've got to put down our fishing poles and stop catching them one by one and cast our net. And so as we knew that women were going to be going out of state, abortion tourism, if you will, to get their abortions, because just because we change laws doesn't mean we change hearts. And so how do we catch these girls and have a speed to care, as you were saying earlier, and bring them into their local pregnancy center? And so we decided to do a statewide telehealth. And so it took us 2 years about that to really get that program, not only funding for it. First it starts with an idea, and then you need money for that. And then you have to try to put all the pieces together, get the infrastructure going. And so it was about a 2-year process, probably. I came on in November, and so it was like we were just right there ready to launch telehealth. So I had to just hit the ground running with it and get nurses trained and things like that, and learn all the pieces that had already been put together. So, but basically how that works is, we run Google ads, and when a girl is searching how to get an abortion pill or abortions near me, things like that, then our number will pop up. And it's not called Arkansas Pregnancy Network. It's called My AR Nurse. And then when we answer the phone, we get their story. And then wherever they're calling at in the state, our goal is to get them in with their local pregnancy center, where they can get true education, know their options, before they're just ordering a pill online and having their abortion at home, or they're traveling. In Arkansas, they're having to go to Illinois or Kansas. And I know some of these girls are going as far as Chicago to get their abortion. So, because they want to get it as fast as possible. So it's that speed to care, right? But if you can meet them right where they are and let them know that you just want them to be safe before they try to make that decision, know all their options and be safe before they get an abortion, they are very likely to go to their local pregnancy center, is what we have discovered. So it's been successful. It's been a slow start, but once it got started, it's been successful. So.
Wow, so great to hear. And I want to unpack a whole bunch of what you said. Let's go back to coalition for a minute. State coalitions specifically, is something that Heartbeat highly advocates for. And as you mentioned, with the Dobbs decision and post-Roe, probably more important now than ever. We're unified in pregnancy help. Heartbeat, of course, our focus has been at the national, international level, but a state coalition can take specific things that are happening within your state and specific referrals to the pregnancy center within your state and make it even more personalized for that woman who contacts my AR nurse. I love that name, by the way. And that's the sort of the client-facing side of coalitions. On the internal side of coalitions, having been a former executive director of pregnancy centers myself, I know the absolute gift it is to be with others who know what you know and who live what you live. And that being known in that way is so encouraging. So the idea that you are gathering people together, that those directors can come and have fellowship and just enjoy being with other like-minded people who do the same thing they do every day is such a gift, such a blessing. And then to be further educated, right, to pour into and help enrich and give them knowledge in the things that are new and things that need to be changing in this rapidly changing world, right? And this telehealth program fits right in there. So kudos to the state of Arkansas for being on top of it, for having the fortitude to take 2 years to put it together. I'm sure there were a lot of hurdles to face in those 2 years. What sticks out to you? What do you think were one of the more difficult things to get past?
I think funding is probably one of the big things, because it's really, we're the first in the nation to do this as a statewide thing. I know that there are other pregnancy centers in other states that have telehealth, but to actually have a statewide telehealth, we are the first ones to attempt it. So I think fundraising is probably one of the bigger things. And if someone is trying to start a statewide telehealth, really work with that. That is something you need, someone that's all they do is just fundraise.
Yeah, sharing that vision and inviting people to join in on the work that's going to be happening with this telehealth service. That's a great job. That's a big job, and it's a rewarding job as well. And obviously, you've been successful with it because you have your program up and running. You said the goal of the program is to connect that woman with their local pregnancy center. I think it must be such a relief when they call, not knowing exactly all the details of who they're calling, to realize, oh yeah, there's somebody right there for you in your neighborhood or close by, and we can connect them to you and schedule an appointment for you. That's that speed to care, speed to service that needs to happen with the generation that we're serving. So you mentioned funding. Can you go into a little more detail of how you actually got the telehealth up and running? Let's talk about the nurses. Let's talk about training or how this actually works in a little more detail.
So we were able to get initially a large donation. That happened before I came, so I'm not sure exactly how they were able to get that. And it was an anonymous donor, so we don't even really know who it was. So the Lord just said, yes, I want this to happen. So then beyond that, we were able to get nurses, volunteer nurses, to staff it. Because that was going to be one of the bigger expenses, was trying to pay nurses. So we were able to get volunteer nurses, and right now I have about 25 nurses that are trained to do the telehealth, and I have about 6 or 7 that actually sign up for shifts. We started soft, in meaning that we're not doing it, or we would love to do it 7 days a week. But in the beginning, we wanted to start well, right? So we're doing it 3 days a week, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. So we do have limited hours right now. But it's going okay. We just need to get our sea legs under us. So we started actually taking calls in February, so it's not been very long. And as far as, I know that there was a question that you wanted to know, like, what could we advise other people, like if they wanted to do this? And of course, I said fundraising, but just to really think about the infrastructure within, because you really need a nurse manager, someone that's going to just recruit nurses, train the nurses, and maintain schedules and things like that. And then someone to do advertising, and then have a director as well. I think you really need 3 solid people to run it.
Yeah, good training, of course, for those who are going to field these contacts is non-negotiable. The advertising and marketing, you mentioned Google Ads. Are you doing anything else besides the Google Ads?
No, just Google Ads. So for the advertising, which Google Ads are very expensive to when you're talking about a statewide thing. And so Google Ads they're running us about $500 a day.
Yeah. Yeah, that is, pretty much the going rate. And then the other thing that we really should talk through here, because you being a front runner, there are other states that are well in process, maybe not quite up and running yet or just getting started, but there are other coalitions that are going to hear this podcast and think, okay, we should do this. We need to do this. And one of the things I love so much about our network is that everyone is willing to share. Everyone is willing to say, let me tell you how not to make this mistake, or let me make sure that you know that you should absolutely do this. And so I'm going to make a big assumption that sending other coalition directors your way would be something that you welcome to talk through telehealth.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I would love to be able to do that. And it's going to take all of us. And like the theme for you guys' conference this year was unity, and we all have to be unified, right? And just like the Lord, like when they were building the Tower of Babel, and the Lord said, if they are unified, there's nothing they can't accomplish. And he was talking about the enemy, but doesn't that work for us as well? If, the good guys, if we're unified, there's nothing that we can't accomplish. And so I would love to talk to other people.
Great. And, what better way to be unified than in a state coalition and then in a telehealth program that brings services to your state specifically and locally, and really increases our footprint in the digital space and increases that speed to care, speed to service, really meeting that woman where she is and getting her what she needs when she contacts us. This has been really insightful, Christie. I appreciate you coming and sharing how this came about and what you're doing. And we have at Heartbeat a page on our website at heartbeatservices.org that lists all of our coalitions that we're aware of, as well as the leadership. So you can find Christie's information there to contact her directly or contact us here at Heartbeat, and we can put you in touch with her. Christie, we are so glad to have you part of the network, and so absolutely just thrilled with the work that you're doing, and we wish you nothing but the best in the state of Arkansas.
All right. Thank you so much for having me on today.
Our pleasure. Christine, I'm going to turn it back to you.
Thanks, Beth. And thank you, Christie. It's really exciting to hear of what's happening in Arkansas, and I hope we'll see this growing across the country. The website that Beth mentioned with the coalitions and the contact information for the leaders of those coalitions can be found at heartbeatservices.org. Go to the drop down under Stay Connected at the top of the page. There's a button that says coalitions, and it's all listed there. So again, heartbeatservices.org under Stay Connected is our coalitions list, and I'll link to that in the show notes as well. So with that, we encourage all of our listeners to subscribe to our podcast to stay updated on the latest in the pregnancy help world. We have lots more coming your way soon. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Pregnancy Help Podcast.